So we have with us one kitten that was detected at the border today. We wear these full nursing PPE because when we first receive these smuggled animals, they are the highest risk of disease. So because he's likely not been vaccinated at all, so we have to vaccinate him against two things, diseases like parvovirus, and then we also have a rabies vaccination. So quite a lot for this little guy to go through, but I think he's going to be brave, right? We want to swab him in a rectal swab, so we take a poo sample or fecal sample from his bum to test for parvovirus. Okay, I know, very brave. Okay, I know, oh yeah. So here we are at the Animal Quarantine Center. The main animals that we quarantine actually are dogs and cats which are brought in from overseas. The reason we have to quarantine them is mainly to mitigate the risk of rabies. Aside from personal pets, the quarantine center also receives and quarantines illegally smuggled animals. The main concern with these animals is that they come from unknown sources, which means that they're actually the highest risk of bringing in diseases which are not present in Singapore. And these are big risks because these diseases affect other animals in Singapore and it can also affect other people, so our human health as well. The main purpose of quarantine is really to prevent endangering the lives of public health essentially. As part of the checkup, normally we start off by checking the identity first. That allows us to figure out who's who. The next thing we do is to take their weight also. We usually just do a head-to-toe physical examination. So we usually check his eyes, there's no redness in his eyelids and everything. The teeth should be generally quite white and pearly. The nose as well, seeing whether there's any nasal discharge. Just a few weeks ago, he was actually having softer stools, so it might be due to stress, but recently actually it's been a lot better, so we'll continue to observe him. Many a times these animals, when they are smuggled in, they're often kept in less than ideal transportation conditions essentially. From a welfare perspective, these animals are essentially going through a degree of pain and suffering when they're transported in. Because they're transported in very dense numbers, they're also at higher risk of spreading diseases among each other. If one of the animals is found to be sick, it's very easily that the entire batch will then come down with that disease as well. Come here. There's a demand for these smuggled animals primarily because it's convenient for people to buy these animals through various online sources. People may not be aware that by buying animals from an unverified online sources, these animals are subjected to poor transportation conditions. For prospective pet owners, it's important to essentially buy from verified and authorized sources. So if you're buying locally, to definitely get from a licensed pet shop. For people who are looking to import an animal in from overseas, I think it's important to be aware also that there are a set of requirements essentially, what we call the veterinary import conditions, they have to comply with to bring them in. So once the smuggled animals have finished their quarantine, we will work with our AVS rehoming partners to actually find them a new home. When I entered vet school, there was that general inclination towards clinical as well, because primarily our curriculum is also focused on that. But a large part of why I chose to become a vet at AVS wasn't just good to know about, okay, what's happening with this individual animal, but more of population kind of management, infectious diseases that affect a group setting rather than just individual animals. So I think the job is very fulfilling in that sense that by helping individual animals, I'm having an impact at a larger population scale. One of the cases I recall quite vividly is that we got a relatively large batch of animal. We actually got 15, if not more, that came in. Our team was more used to dealing with smaller groups of animals, and this is amidst actually caring for the other animals that we have within the quarantine center. What really gave me hope was that as soon as we reached out to other vets, people were, without hesitation, actually came forward to say that they would be willing to come down to help us out. Lots of reinforcements came in and we were able to check through these animals within 2 hours, I think. For me, receiving these animals in the poor state that they come in, it makes me quite sad and disheartened actually, but what it also does is really compel me to want to play the role that I do in caring for these animals and making sure that they're able to be subsequently rehomed. But above and beyond that, it's also to constantly encourage people to get the animals from reputable or responsible sources, whether you're adopting or purchasing locally.